How's it going, guys? Welcome to Monday's upload. I got a stream game from quite some time ago. Not really like the oldest thing in the world, but those of you that actually did see this happen live are probably like, what the hell happened to this game? Why didn't you upload it sooner? Truthfully, I'd been hanging on to it because I didn't know where I wanted to upload it, and I was like, you know what? We'll just upload it today, here, now. Today's going to be the day for this thing. And as you can kind of see, he's got some sand going on. He's got the Cradley to benefit, you know, from the SPDF boost, and then he's got Stoughton with the Sand Rush. And I came pretty unprepared for weather. I just brought dudes, and then he brought sand dudes, and I was like, shit. We'll see if I can do this. But I do anticipate that he's going to go ahead and lead off with his Hippopotamus just because he's got sand dudes. I have no weather dudes. You know, if he gets up the sand right off the bat, then he'll be on the right foot. So I figure I might as well put my best foot forward and try to just fire a Seed Flare off at something. I know he'll probably end up switching to Cradley, but Seed Flare does have a pretty high chance to get the SPDF drop, so that's what I'm going to go for anyways, because if it does do a pretty good chunk, I can kind of guesstimate what I'm going to be at after the SPDF drop, you know, after it drops 2 stages. And it does a really good chunk. I kind of expected it to be a little bit less. Maybe I'm underestimating Shaman with a Life Orb too right now, but that's valuable information. I'll keep that in the back of my mind for later. But I'm going to go ahead and switch out to Registeel because I figure this is going to be a pretty good matchup and a pretty good opportunity to set up rocks as well. I would really like to have this thing toxic, but the only thing that's going to be able to do that is Blastoise, so I kind of want to be careful around that unless I'm, you know, wanting to take an Energy Ball, which I don't. But as he switches out into his Nidoqueen, which is also going to force me out just on the off chance that I do want to go for the T-Wave or the Toxic for whatever reason. I don't even know why I would go for anything other than the rocks right now. But we both get our hazards up fairly early. I do have the Rapid Spinner on my team. I don't know if I take the opportunity to Rapid Spin right off the bat, but he's going to go for the Earth Power just to try to get some super effective damage on my Registeel. It does a good chunk to Blastoise nonetheless, but I still got a good position here, I guess, because I'm actually going to be able to go ahead and Scald or Ice Beam. I think I went for the Ice Beam predicting Cradley to come in because this thing does have access to Storm Drain now. So I'll go for the super effective damage as opposed to the stab neutral damage on this thing. And it would be super effective on both, but I just really didn't want to give him the boost and then just have something end up taking an Energy Ball. Even though I could have just as easily gone out to Registeel, so that's kind of a thinking point there. But where are we at right now? I decided to go for Toxic just because maybe he'll go for the Recover, and I mean, I do want a Rapid Spin, but I would really much rather have this thing Toxic than, I guess, Rapid Spin the stuff away, because this thing can be a pain. I really know how much of a pain this thing can be. And fortunately, he doesn't end up attacking me. He goes for the Recover on that turn, which is not bad at all. You know, this thing's at full HP, but I don't really see Rest Talk variants of this thing all that often. They just tend to be like Stealth Rock, Toxic, Energy Ball, and other things like that. Rest Talk is more reserved for kind of like a curse kind of thing, but he's gonna go for the Energy Ball, and it's not gonna do shit because Registeel is a special defensive monster. This thing is max HP, max special defense, and that explains why I took that so well. But I don't really want to go for anything else other than the Iron Head just because that is super effective damage owing to his rock typing. But he's actually going to go ahead and switch out, I believe, go into his Hippopotamus again, just because it's probably the best thing to take physical hits. In hindsight, probably should have gone for the Seismic Toss, because that would have been set 100 on everything. And this thing doesn't have as high of HP as its evolution, obviously. So, I don't know, just kind of a little thing I could have kept there in hindsight. But I'm going to go out to my Blastoise, because this thing takes physical hits pretty well, and I can't threaten it out with the Scald Burn, that kind of thing. Earthquake is still going to do, you know, a fairly nice chunk just because stab and whatnot, but honestly, if I can Rapid Spin and then just maybe get something burned, I think I'll be okay with this. I just don't want the hazards up, and I would really like to take out the Cradley before it sets him up again. So, he's going to go into his Heracross, probably expecting me to go for the Scald and maybe expecting to get a burn. Or, now that he's seen Toxic, you know, he could have gone to this. He was probably just expecting to get the status and then just to try to push my shit in with said Heracross with all the guts boosted attack shit and whatnot. But he's going to go for close combat. At that range, it is definitely more than enough to finish me off, you know, being stabbed. Not necessarily super effective, but it still does a pretty good fucking chunk. So, this thing's down. Don't really know what I'm going to do about it, but I'm not seeing lefties or anything on it, so I'm thinking maybe he's choiced. I can just come in with Arcanine, get the Intimidate off, and then we'll just go from there. I could just as easily go for an Extreme Speed now that he has the lowered physical defense, and I don't necessarily know what he is. Even if I were to take a hit, it wouldn't be terrible. So he goes out into his Hippopotamus expecting to take physical hits fairly well, and he is right in that Flare Blitz will be a 2-hit KO, but at the same time, Flare Blitz is a 2-hit KO. So He's going to end up losing out on this thing unless he wants to switch into Slowbro, which he just as easily could have done. It's not like I'm going to go for a crunch right here, and it's not like Arcanine is going to stay on Slowbro anyway. So this part kind of confused me, but in the same, I don't know, on the same foot, it was like, you know what? It's death fodder. He doesn't want to risk me predicting something else, so I guess that kind of works. Maybe he went for slack off on that turn, expecting me to over-predict as well. That could have been a thing. But he's going to go out into Slowbro right now. I don't think I have Wild Charge on this thing because I have Crunch for Chandelure, which is something that I've noticed people like to run. So I was like, I'm going to do that too. But decided to go out into Shaman because the water move is fairly obvious, even if he wants to go for Scald. And he does end up getting a crit and a burn, which I don't think he gets either. So maybe psyched out some of you. But I could just rest it off, so that's fine. I also need to kind of preserve my Seed Flares because this is really like my one true answer to this thing. I also have Honchkrow lying in the wings, pun somewhat intended. But I need to have a little bit of HP whittled away on it because I don't think a Night Slash is going to be enough to, you know, OHKO it from full just because of how physically defensive these things tend to be. So if possible, I would really like to preserve my Shaman. But I go for the Seed Flare as he decides to switch out to Credilli, and I do get the Spit Def drop on this one, which is going to be awesome, just because, you know, I got the toxic damage going on, and after you saw how much it did, I'm pretty sure even if he wants to recover at the end of this turn, the toxic damage is going to start racking up, and it's just not going to be a beneficial situation for him. So he's going to go ahead and switch out, decide to go into his Nidoqueen. Despite the limited PP on Seed Flare, this thing's going to go on like a minor rampage with the Seed Flares. I don't miss any of them, which really surprises me, but looking at how much it does to Nidoqueen, that's just, I'm going to go for another one because why the hell not? You know, if he wants to predict me going for an Earth Power or something like that, I was like, you know what? Actually, you know what? I did go for an Earth Power just to preserve on Seed Flares. I thought I went for another Seed Flare, but that makes sense. I'm not as stupid as I think. That's nice. Okay, so Nidoqueen's down. I still have quite a bit of Seed Flares left to deal with Credilli and or Slowbro. It seems to be a pretty good option for them, just based on what I have on my team right now. But in comes Stoutland. I'm like, shit. I really don't want anything to take a Retaliate or anything like that, but he ends up going for Fire Fang, which is good because it's a multi-purpose. Oh, fuck you if Registeel wants to come in and that kind of thing. So I thought about it and I was like, does this thing get Fire Fang? It does get Fire Fang. The best thing to probably do is just going to be to leave this thing in its death fodder. As hesitant as I was to do it, I don't want Registeel taking extra damage because it might be kind of crucial. So I'm gonna need it to take it out because I want to T-Wave it and then just deal with it from there. But I bring in Arcanine, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for the Crunch on the off chance he decides to go into Slowbro. But he goes into Cradily instead. Maybe as Death Fodder, maybe not. That kind of confused me too. But I guess it kind of works out for him just because, you know, he ends up living a little bit, and then I don't know, leaves it in his Death Fodder. So basic play is basic, but whatever. He's got Slowbro, and he's got Stoutland, and I got stuff left as well. I really can't be bothered to recap at this point. Oh, he's got Heracross. That's kind of a thing too. But the thing that I do know about Heracross is it does like to carry Stone Edge. But I'm gonna stay in and see if he wants to over-predict it. You know, maybe expecting my Registeel to come in, and he ends up going for the Close Combat. Now, I don't know if I could have lived it from that range anyways, so I'm not really sure whether or not this critical hit ended up mattering. I know Arcanine is not the most fragile thing on the planet, but that is a stab Close Combat. Just something to think about, I guess. But I bring in El fucking Muchacho, and El Muchacho unfortunately doesn't do any work because Slowbro is still around and at full HP. And I'm just going to be a stupid idiot and try to go for close combats and stuff. And that did a pretty good chunk. And I was like, you know what? If that was a crit, maybe I can take him out with this next one. And I unfortunately fall pretty short. And he's going to be able to go for a T-Wave, slack it off. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Fine. We'll just keep going for close combats until I decide that, you know, fuck it. Ultimately, just fuck it. So, more close combats. This is like a really stupid point in the game. I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I really don't know why I'm doing this. But I figure I might as well bring in my my Scarf Honchkrow on a turn where I actually predict him to go for the Slack Off, but he actually goes for the Scald instead. So I'm like, if he burns, then I've basically lost this match. And that does a little bit more than I thought it would, but I'm still okay just because he didn't burn. So 30% fortunately did not come through for him, and I'm just going to be able to go for Night Slash and finish him off from that range. I'm really curious as to how much HP he would have needed to survive, but even from that range, I did end up getting a crit, so even if he was at full, I'm pretty sure it would have been able to take him out. So, Slowbro is out of the way, so that's definitely, you know, some breathing room to work with. But he brings in his fucking Stoutland yet again, and I still don't know what I'm going to do about this. My plan A right now is to go into Registeel, paralyze it, and then maybe take it out with Honchkrow later if I can, but he goes for a return. And I think we learned that this thing is choice banded because that does a lot for a resisted hit. And yeah, so he's going to go ahead and switch out. I think I end up catching Heracross on the switch with the T-Wave, which is kind of good and bad. I think Heracross is Scarfed, and then Stoutland is banded. So he's running on 2 choice Pokemon right now. I still got 3, I don't want to say regular Pokemon, but if he is going to end up being paralyzed, then I kind of think that Gallade is actually going to have some room to do stuff. So that's what I try to do right now. I was like, you know what? Maybe I can take a close combat. And then I was like, fucking stupid. Why are you doing this? That's Guts boosted. You're not at full HP. You're probably not going to live this. And it turns out that I don't, even though that's a resisted hit. So I'm just like, goddamn, Heracross, you are scary. So end up losing out on Gallade, but I do still have Honchkrow, which is very nice. I could get some potential Moxie boost here. And this is kind of a turn of the game where I'm kind of face-palming because I could have had it a lot sooner. And I mean, I did kind of spoil what ends up happening, but that's not to say I don't work a lot to get to this outcome. I go for the Drill Peck right here because I don't know how much I'm gonna, end up doing. I don't want to run myself dry on Recoil and Sandstorm damage, and Drill Peck fails to kill it off from that range. And I'm like, son of a bitch, what do? I got Honchkrow, and my Honchkrow's choice. So I have 2 choice Pokemon, he has 2 choice Pokemon, but I have 2 choice Pokemon on Registeel, and Registeel's gonna be MVP in a little bit. He predicts my switch to Registeel and goes for Fire Fang. I don't give a fuck because it's unstab, and I got a lot of HP to spare, which is what I was aiming to do. So he goes for another Fire Fang. It almost looked like a 2-hit KO from earlier, but I leave with a pretty reasonable chunk, and instead of just T-waving it, I'm just going to go ahead and take him out with the Seismic Toss. And he's still got a paralyzed Heracross, which should still be slower than a Registeel, even with the Choice Scarf. And if it's not, I still have Honchkrow, so there's kind of that. But I believe I just end up taking this thing out with a Seismic Toss for the win. So that's the game, guys. It was a pretty engaging one, I thought. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you're welcome to leave a like rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. I'm pretty sure y'all are noticing, just based on your subscription box thingies, that Black and White 2 is out and people are uploading battles and shit, and the question on everyone's mind is, will we be uploading soon? And yes, I will. Just give me a little bit. I got to figure out move tutor moves, figure out what's been changing. A couple of new pokes have been released as well, so I kind of want to tweak some things around, just maybe take some battles, and then I'll upload something on this channel. So that's not to say I won't upload it, but just give me a bit for people that are asking. So I think that's the only thing I really need to cover, and that should do it. So I'll see you guys on the next one.